Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, it's Tom Coleman here, and if you're on the, you come to a good one today. Um, what I have for you is several different books that will help you if you interact. If you have anything going on within yourself, like what a lot of people do, has a lot of negative talk in their heads. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a couple of foundational books that will help you resolve that and turn your self-talk into very positive things. So I've got a couple books about that. Have one that's just a wonderful book by Darren Hardy, and it's just a comprehensive book on success. And then if any of you work with people on a one-to-one basis, and who doesn't, right? Yeah, I'm going to give you some books to take a look at that you can take them and massage them and gain trust and sales almost immediately with anybody. So if most people you're talking to, you've got about 9 seconds to get them to know, like you, and trust you. And that happens in the dinosaur brain. So it starts there, and that's your security thing. The people, that's the one that's always looking around going, is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? And you've got to start there, because if you don't, it's going to shut you down. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. And Catherine's running a little bit late today. I'm assuming she says she'd be here, be a little bit late. So I'm not sure what time she'll get here. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get cranking on it. I've got the comment tracker on, so if you guys have any comments, please put them there, and I'll catch them and put them up on the board as soon as I can. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you briefly about here's the foundational books. There's two of them, really. Psycho-Cybernetics, there's two of them out. One of them is by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and that's the one that I highly recommend to you. He's a German, or he's dead now, but he was a German, and got caught up with the Nazis and went into the concentration camps. And this is his experience within the concentration camp and how he survived that. And then it also, within that experience, he brought out this new psychiatric analytic thing, basically, that concentrates. It's called logotherapy, and it concentrates. Everybody. Basically, it concentrates on your will to be fulfilled, and it takes you from where you are and helps you move through your life on a foundational basis, looking toward the future. Okay, so and if you take, it's pretty in depth. It's been a while since I've read it, but I'm gonna tell you, it's one of the foundational books that actually changed my life. The way that you have to use it, though, and there's, like I said, there's two of them. One of them is with Dan Kennedy, and I highly recommend the one by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and I've got a link to it. You can get it. It's over on Amazon. But if you're interested in it, and you can get it on Kindle, it's fairly inexpensive. So I mean, none of these books are real expensive. But if you actually go through it and read it and set up little programs and think through it, I mean, it takes work. If you want this stuff to actually work on you, you have to work it. And it has to be daily, and it has to be daily over time, and it takes about 21 to 30 days. Some people it takes longer, but if you'll do these things and work on these things on an everyday basis, what you'll do is you'll incorporate them into your life, and it will have an impact on your life, and it will have a great impact on your life. So that is a foundational book. I highly recommend it to anybody. Let's see, I was talking about psychocybernetics. I'm sorry, yes, I was getting confused. There's two books that are foundational for me: Psychocybernetics, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, and Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. And Viktor Frankl is the German. He did logotherapy, and he's the one that I was talking about on that one. Okay, so I got off track there, and I apologize about that. But Man's Search for Meaning it will take you and basically help you to define your will in your life, the meaning for your life. So it will help you search for that meaning and define it and put it in the future and move toward it and fulfill your meaning in your life. So, and it will help you to shut down the negative self-talk in it. Okay, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. He was he operated on people. He's a plastic surgeon, and basically he would operate on people, and he noticed that when he operated on them, sometimes their self-image changed with the operation, sometimes they didn't. Okay, so basically it's a book that will help you work through changing your outlook on life. Okay, so both of these books help in that aspect of working on yourself and developing positive self-talk and helping you to move your life into a positive direction over time. And but you've got to actually sit down and work through these books and do that. Okay. So those are two foundationals. If you haven't read them, I highly recommend that you get them and read them and work through them. Again, it's going to take you, 21 to 30 days to work through each one of these and incorporate them. So these are not something that you just pick. It's not like a novel that you just pick up and read on the weekend at the beach. Yeah, I mean, you actually have to work through this stuff. But if you'll work through it, you'll find it very beneficial to you. Darren Hardy, who is he's got Success Magazine. He wrote The Compound Effect. And I highly recommend that. It's a success book, and basically it's talking about disciplined activity over long periods of time. Let's see, I just heard somebody come up. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can get back to this. Oh, there we are. Hey. Hey, Catherine, how are you?
Good, Tom. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. It's good. Did you just? I was over on the page. So you just now showed up.
I did. Good morning. And how's everybody this morning?
I'm good. I hope everybody else out there is too. So, but did you hear? Basically, I was talking about two foundational books, Psycho-Cybernetics and Man's Search for Meaning. And have you read either one of those by any chance?
No, I have not.
Have you even heard about them?
I have heard Man's Search for Meaning, but the other one I have not.
Okay. Psycho-Cybernetics. He was a plastic surgeon, and basically what he was doing, he was operating on people, and some of them that he operated on, the operation, of course he's operating on appearance. Most of them are faces, and you change basically how you think about yourself when you change your appearance. But he was finding in some of his surgeries that although he had dramatically improved appearances, not everybody's how they thought about themselves changed. So people that had negative self-concepts sometimes retain those negative self-concepts. And so what that book does is it goes through that whole process. And if you've got a negative self-image, it will help you to change that to a positive self-image. And Man's Search for Meaning, and both of these books, and I can't remember which one's got a greater impact or the other, but you know how people do negative self-talk all the time?
Right. I do.
If you will work through these two books, I guarantee that you can change your negative self-talk to positive self-talk if you work through them. And you can't just read them like a novel at the beach. You actually have to read them and do the work on yourself to go through it. And it takes about 21 to 30 days or so of doing something daily to get it into a habit and get it into your life so that it actually makes a change with you. So, but I highly recommend those two books, foundational for that. And then I was talking about, what's that? What you laughing about?
I was just thinking about all the negative habits that I've done daily that are integrated into my life.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about it is, and the more I look at, we're not our thoughts, we're not what we think, we're not what we feel. We're separate from all that, and so basically, I'm sorry.
No, we are what we eat. You know, there's that saying out there, we are what we eat. I was just, going along with that, with your thought process there. We're not what we think.
Well, you want to stay healthy. I mean, that's important.
True. No. Okay.
But,
no, but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. I forgot what I was saying now.
I'm sorry. I ran in today. I was out, and I've been with I was at a couple of meetings, and I just ran in. So so coming in to do the HOA, I'm just like pumped up from several meetings where I was just, interactive and doing some other stuff. So I apologize as opposed to
that's okay.
Just zoned into talking about something.
That's okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, but back to the philosophy and what he was saying about integrating these thought processes. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do, and it takes 21 to 30 days. So you've got to actually work on it. You've got to read it. You've got to apply it. You've got to work on it. You've got to put it into your life on a daily basis over a period of time. And it takes 21 to 30 days to establish a habit, basically. And then you just keep going with that. And, if you break your 30 days, you got to go back and start all over again. It has to be daily 30 days in a row, daily 21 days in a row. And then Darren Hardy is the author of Success, and he wrote The Compound Effect. And that is, I highly recommend everybody get that book. These are 3 books that I highly recommend everybody get. And I don't care who you are, it will help you in your life if you go through them and you apply them. But you can't just, like I said, you can't read them as summer reading. They're working books, so you've got to go through them. You've got to understand the concepts. You've got to see how that applies in your life, and then you actually have to act on it on a daily basis over time to make it effective for you. But Darren Hardy he's interviewed. He's got Success Magazine. He's interviewed just thousands of successful people, and basically he's put all that in the book. And the one major thing on that is you can start small and change your small behaviors that are negative into positive behaviors, and you incorporate those into your life, and you do them over time. And as you, like for discipline, if you're disciplining yourself to do one thing and you do it daily over time, that strengthens your muscle of discipline. So any kind of, anything that you work on, anything that you focus on increases. Okay, so it's like lifting weights. So if you're applying these things over time, it just gets better and better and better and better, and that's what the compound effect is. So it's small activities compounded over time, and you just keep adding them on and adding them up, and just keep putting them out, and it just leads to more and more and more and more success over time. And it is, if you can discipline yourself, it's like anything else. It's attitudes and it's activities, but you've got to take the activities. So if you actually do these things, oh hey, there's We've got a comment there. I can't. Can you?
Oh,
I've got
which
comment
I
tracker
don't have,
running.
I just walked in and was able to pull this up, so I don't have comment tracker running. What does it say? Can you see it?
Uh, it's Candemir. He doesn't have a camera. Okay.
Well, under the next 30 days,
Well, hang on. Let me see. I think I could pull it up, but I can't read it because it's backwards to
it
me.
says I have not camera.
Okay.
Hear us? But can he hear us?
I'm sure he can. I guess he
Okay,
can.
well,
He can comment on it if he wants.
this is what I can tell you, Candemir. Over the next 30 days, part of your objective is to get a camera. Work on getting a camera. That's a discipline for you. Figure out how to get a camera.
Why does he need a camera? Does he need a camera? I
Yes,
don't
of
even
course. Of course
What?
you need a camera.
Okay.
I mean, if he bothered to write that in there, then it's bothering him that he doesn't have one. So yes, he needs one. He wants one. Go get
Well,
one. Over the
that,
next 30 days, Candemir, what's the date of today? The 14th. By next month on the 14th, I expect you to comment in the comment tracker that you have a Candemir.
I'm so glad you're pro to activity. I mean, that's what I want to hear. That's what I like. If you don't take action, nothing happens. So I'm glad to hear that, Catherine. All right. So, any questions about the compound effect, man's search for meaning, or psychocybernetics?
So
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
I do
Go
want to say
ahead.
I do want to say this about discipline because I worked. I have my coaching certificate with the Ford Institute, and so I went through a long program. And Tom, you are an awesome coach. I have to give you kudos. You've worked with me on some coaching things. What I learned about discipline is that people have a negative thought about the word discipline. So if
That's probably true. Yeah.
yes, and going through the process of figuring out what your thought process is with the word discipline, and really understanding what you associate with discipline. And once you realize that discipline is not negative, that will allow you to free up some space to bring discipline in. Because a lot of people, when you say, okay, well, you need to be disciplined, they immediately don't want to do that because they think it's punishment. They associate discipline with punishment. And so they never get around to becoming disciplined in different ways. But discipline is not punishment. So work on that if you have trouble, with becoming disciplined in something. It's because you just have a negative association with the word discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's good. That's good
that's good
advice.
advice.
Um, let's see. I'm getting a lot of feedback right now. Okay, there we go. That's better.
And I just want to say, yeah. So that's just my thought process in
Yeah,
that.
that's good. I just wanted to add a little bit something to that though. It's kind of like you can think your way into doing things, or you can do your way into doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And the more effective way to do something is to set up a goal and work back from that goal to the present time on the steps that you're going to take to make to that goal.
Right.
And then actually, you're thinking through it one time, but come heck or high water, you just take the steps, period. And then you adjust and change on the way toward your goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my 2 cents on that. But
I agree with you.
that
Yes.
absolutely works. So
I agree with you 100% there. So anyway, the man's search for meaning.
mhm.
Uh,
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more books to go to.
oh wow, awesome.
Yep. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say that just sounds like a awesome book.
Oh, I mean, it absolutely is. He brought out a whole thing of psychotherapy. He's got a whole genre. I mean, it was back in the 60s. I don't know if it's still going today, but I assume that it is. But it's those are three books I would recommend for everybody. And then if you're working with other people, I've got a couple books. Well, basically all the rest of these are kind of working with people, because basically if you want to get anything done, you either have to get it done through people, with people, or by people. So I mean, everybody's in the people business, whether you think you are or not. So that includes all of the extroverts and the introverts. And basically how you say things and how you talk, there's three parts of your brain, and basically you've got the dinosaur brain, you've got a midbrain, you've got your upper brain. And the whole trick to everything though is the dinosaur brain controls everything as far as being able to get into your higher reasoning. So if you can't get through that dinosaur brain, you can't get anywhere. So that's what these next books are kind of about. And what I want to talk about, one of them is it's Tom Big Al Schreider. It's how to get instant trust, belief, influence, and rapport. And his contention is basically you've got about 9 seconds to establish that. And there are certain words that you can use and certain phrases that you can use that get people from on the other side to your side instantly. Okay, and we've done a show on that, and basically that's the phrases that it's 13, I think it's 13 words, but or 13, yeah, it's 13 words, but it's basically most people, everybody says, just curious, would it be okay if there's two kinds of people in the world, but there's specific, you go through them in specific order. And if you sell things, that is one of the better books out there on how to sell something quickly or how to get rapport. And then you go through your basic your basic sales procedures. But if you there's I mean I can tell you for a fact, because I use this every day. I'm just curious. We've blank, 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 and you state a benefit, and then I just found out, or there's two kinds of people in the world, either one of those phrases, and you give what goes with that, and then you just, would it be okay if, so that's three phrases with a little bit of information that will give you instant rapport with 80% plus of everybody you talk to. Now that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is.
And I'm telling you, it works, because I do that every day. And you can get better with that if you know the people well enough so that you can throw in two statements that they believe, because that gets you started on the same path. And then it's you can go into your different presentation. Most people, everybody knows things like that, but you just tell stories with that, but you lead in with those phrases and then have stories with it. And these are all true stories based on what you've experienced over time. And basically, if you've been doing anything for a while, you've got stories that will help anybody make a decision. And the only thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to get the information into people's brains so that they can make a decision that's good for them. And that's basically your job. So if you help people make a decision that's good for them, everybody loves it and appreciates it. And so it's not. But what the one thing that I think is funny is that he talks about, and you can, and this is a true thing. He says, con men, they get that instantly. Okay, so you can use this for good or evil, and I highly recommend you use it for good, because that's what it's all about. And then he's also got a book, The Four Color Personalities, and that talks about you've got reds are money driven. It's about 15% of the population. Uh, greens are your technicians and accountants and things like that. And as I'm trying to remember, I think they're 15% of the population also. And then you've got your yellows, who are your nurses and your helpers and people like that, and they're about 35% of the population. And then you've got your blues, which are your party people, a lot of your salesmen and things like that. And they're basically they like to party, and they're about 35% of the population too. So if you think about that, and basically they each think and relate to the world with different parts of their personalities. It's kind of like um, some people more oriented toward pictures, some people more oriented toward um, hearing and speaking, and some people more oriented toward the kinesthetics of things. So it's kind of like that, but it's different in that it puts them in different categories, and there's different ways to touch base with them. So that's any questions about any of that, or any comments on that, or
I don't see any. I don't have the comment tracker up. So do you?
I'm just asking you. So
Oh no, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I don't see the comments, but no, I think that that's interesting. Um, but
Well, it is. I mean, if you know somebody based on how they dress and how they talk, and kind of how they look at the world, then you can enter into the world in that conversation inside their head, and there's an instant rapport that's built. So the
like
more
I just do things a little differently, but that's probably really good
well,
for.
I'm telling you, it absolutely works. If you think about it, that's how people are organized. I
No,
mean,
it's true. It is. No, it's very true. I do things a little differently, but I think for the average person, that is a really good way to approach it.
well, here's the other thing though. If you're one of those 15 percenters and you can only relate to the other 15 percenters when
Mhm.
you're trying to work with them, through them, or you know, or motivate them to do something, then it's easier to motivate somebody in their own language, because you speak your own language too, and you're one of those four deals. Okay,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
more than likely you're a yellow.
Mhm.
So okay, and then so there's certain, the way I don't want to get
So, no, no.
too
I mean,
wild
no.
here,
I'm agreeing with you, Tom.
but
I'm
but
agreeing with you 100%.
huh?
I, I'm agreeing with you 100%. I think that is a really good breakdown of the people. The color is for me a little off, but for the general population, that's for what he described, it's a good understanding.
It doesn't have anything to do with color per se.
Right.
It's a bucket to put information in,
Exactly.
and different people put those buckets as different colors.
No,
So
exactly. And
but
yeah,
you're talking about helpers, you're talking about partiers, you're talking about hard chargers, and you're
mhm.
talking about analytics.
Yeah,
And basically that's the four categories. There's more to it than that, but
yeah,
that's the basic, and you fit into one of those four categories. Period.
absolutely.
Everybody does,
Mhm.
and I don't think there's exceptions to that. So, um,
Well,
and
I think that what might be when you say exceptions, I think that there's, like you said, probably subcategories. You're probably um, a health.
well, you're not nobody's one of that 100% of the
Right.
time. Everybody's all four of those at different parts of their personality,
But you
but
have a
your
major.
your main your main focus is one of those areas.
Right. Exactly.
And it's well, I don't know, I can't tell you what the percentage is, but your overall view of how you view the world is like that. So for and I'm going to talk to you about let me tell you about another book here. This is, and there's a couple of them. So let me share those with you. And these are really great too. But those are two great books that I would recommend that anybody who deals with people or has kids or anybody in their life that they like to influence, get those two books. And here's one that I'm currently looking at. Now, this one is actually a workbook, and it's How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. And it's by Nicholas Boothman. And what he was is he was and he's still around. I mean, he's not that old. He's a fashion photographer. He was a fashion photographer. I think he's a speaker and a coach now, but he was a fashion photographer, and he's working with models, and a lot of these models did not speak English, so he has to get them to do what needs to be done so he can take the picture that works, and this is how to go about that. And it's a lot of the same kind of stuff that how to get instant trust, belief, influence, and rapport with Big Al Schreider, but it's that kind of stuff. But this is approaching it from the people that view the world in pictures, people that view the world in hearing and speech, and people that view the world in kinesthetics and feeling. Okay, so if you combine all of these things, then your ability to work with people is going to be just phenomenal. And so that's currently what I'm working through right now. How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less by Nicholas Boothman. And all of these books are some of the best that I've ever seen. And I've read thousands and thousands and thousands of books.
Does he have one thing that he recommends that right off the bat works? I mean,
yeah, Nicholas Boothman. Yeah, the number one thing. Basically, if you, before you go to meet somebody, if you'll concentrate all your energy, okay, and bring it up to your heart, and then you into the other person's heart, smile, shake their hand. There's a physical transfer of that energy. And one of the things he said that's the biggest thing. If you could only do one thing out of the whole book, do that. But what you can do is you can work with 3 or 4 people and just get in a circle and practice doing that and pushing the energy to the next person, and then they shoot it to the next person and to the next person, and you'll be able to feel that. So what you laughing about?
Well, oh my, okay. No, I believe that. I truly believe that. I just, personally, I don't recommend doing that, but that's just me personally.
Well, you don't actually do that. I mean, you don't do it.
No, people do.
You project it. Okay, and then of course what you do is typically most people do shake hands when they're first meeting people, and you do look them in the eye, but you project the energy.
Yeah, no, it's actually an energy. It's actually an energy thing, and that actually does work. I know it does. That's interesting. It's to me that would be what I would call courting someone.
Well, I mean, you've got energy in all different parts of your body, so you can use that energy in different ways.
Exactly.
But I'm just talking about in a as a way to meet somebody and come to them heart to heart.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just like you have to read it, do it, and do it in a very healthy way, because people can do that, and but read the book, because they probably has some other suggestions along with that.
Oh, that's just in the very first,
Yeah, but
I mean, this is a whole workbook, and like I said, it's based on pictures. It's based on
Uh-huh.
speech
Yeah.
and hearing, and it's based on kinesthetics.
Yeah.
So it basically tells you it's NLP stuff too,
Yeah.
because you've got how people view the world. You can tell on how they move their eyes and where their eyes are. So basically, the overall process of it, even if you just practice some of it, will
Mhm.
have you more tuned in to the other person. And the more you're tuned in to the other person, the more influence you're going to end up having.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of that's a lot of energy work, and that's amazing. So cool. I think that's amazing. But definitely, if someone's hearing it, get the book, read it, because that's it's very powerful what you're talking about.
oh, absolutely. That's what all these books are. That's what I'm trying to tell
No,
people.
no, no, no. I know you're saying all these books are, but just that, it's just like I wasn't expecting to hear, that piece of energy work coming out. I was just like, whoa, okay.
Well, I mean,
That's
all of this is all around that kind of thing because it's about people. Okay,
yeah,
and
no,
then the next thing that I'm going to be reading is, and this is an amazing book. It doesn't have a great title. It's called Pitch Anything, and it's
uh-huh.
by Oren Oren Klaff, Klaff, and basically he was. He was he's a guy on Wall Street now, but he didn't start off like that. He started off trying to raise money. He raises money, and he's helped he's raised a lot of money for a lot of people. I mean, just millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And what this is he talks about, the story is he went to make a presentation to this guy who was a uh, like the Wolf on Wall Street. I mean, he was a big trader that had a big company making millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. So he's got a staff and all that kind of thing doing deals. And he went to make a presentation to this guy. And this is a presentation that he developed. And he's talking about going through, and this is how all this kind of comes together, because you've got you've got your dinosaur mind, you've got your midbrain, and you've got your top brain. And he actually goes through that process. And I believe it's a 5-step program, because I've just kind of started on it. It's
Mhm.
kind of a 5-step program, if I recall correctly. But it's a specific way. He made this presentation to this Jonathan, which if Jonathan, the job of most successful people is to say no most of the time. You say yes very, very seldom. So he had to get into a presentation, and Jonathan was fighting him the whole way on the presentation. But at the end of the presentation, he said, the only one I've ever seen do anything like that, and Jonathan did it naturally, was him. Okay, so he offered him a job, but he didn't take the job because Jonathan was not nice to work for. So,
Uh,
but he ended up going and doing that kind of thing with somebody else.
right.
But basically, it's a way to format your presentation so that it gives you an opportunity to, which is what we're talking about in almost all of this stuff. Get your presentation in past the gate, so that people can hear you, understand you, and make a decision that's good in their that that that's good for them.
Right.
Okay, so it's a way to sell stuff, but and that's all you ever want if you're talking to people. It's just a way to be more influential and to do better. But the nice thing about this is it's actually a structured thing, and he walks you through it. So you could use this on seminars. You could use this on just all kinds of stuff. Anytime you're making a presentation, whether it's a board presentation, whether it's a one-on-one presentation, um, it's just good everywhere. So, but that's that's going to be next. But right now I'm doing How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. But anyway, so those are the books that I highly recommend for anybody that cares about people and having influence and having a better life, a more successful life, having more fun, because all this stuff is just fun. And it will help you in anything you do, because everything you do has to do with people. So
Awesome.
if anybody's got any questions, that's it. Unless you've got some, you got any books you're recommending or like or love or tell stories about, or
Let's see. Books that I
oh,
like, love, highly recommend. Um, right now, I would have to say that in the past month, I haven't been into reading any books because I've been concentrating on moving. so
right.
so no, I'm not.
Well, I mean, looking back through your life, has there been one book that made a really big impact on your life?
Oh, there's been lots of books that have made impact.
Just which made the biggest impact on you? Which
Um,
one book made the biggest impact on you?
well, it was a Debbie Ford book, and it was The Shadow, The Secret of the Shadow. That made a huge impact on my life.
And
And
what was that about?
it's basically about figuring out about what goes on within yourself and really looking past the pretenses of what you put up to the public, and looking behind that and just realizing we all have a shadow side. Everybody does.
It sounds like what we're talking about. So I'll add that to the list. And
so when you say the secret of the shadow, is like, but there's a gift in that. It's like it's like the gift is when you uncover that piece and you bring it out into the light, then you don't have to be ashamed or embarrassed or worried about things, and you realize that there's a lot of gifts that you gather your life from that, and that's what you have a lot of strength from your trials and tribulations that you go through, and that's the thing that really makes you who you are. It's not necessarily being like everybody else. It's some of the things that set you apart, that make you.
well, yeah. I mean, just one quick comment about that. Nobody's alike. I mean, we're similar. We have similarities, but everybody's unique.
Right, but we all want to try and put on a facade that says, "Oh, I'm perfect."
Once you accept yourself as who you are, and it doesn't matter anymore.
Even though everybody sees through that, everybody's looking at you going, "You're not perfect," but you want to sit out there and go, "No, I'm perfect." I know, I know. And so those things that you can start accepting about yourself that really give you strength to.
Well, that's the whole thing. Be honest with yourself and accept yourself for who you are. And if you need to make changes, make the changes over time and work on it.
Yeah.
But it's coming up on 12:45. So, I mean, we've already been 15 minutes over. So we got to get off this thing.
Yeah. So anyway.
So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Go get those books. At least take a look at them. If you're in the people business, they will help you. So we'll see you next Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Y'all have a great one. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. Those are awesome books.
Bye.